Welcome to Syncast, powered by Commercient. I'm Heath McKnight. Joining me today is the co-founder and CEO of Meticulosity, Dave Ward. Dave, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Awesome. Dave, tell me a little bit about yourself and your company.
I'm co-founder of Meticulosity. We've been in business now for over 14 years. It'll be 15 coming up in November. We've had a history of different focuses in our day, but everything digital and everything technology and web based. Started our roots in really complex development implementation for e-commerce into brands, and then sort of segued from there into driving traffic to those brands, to where we are today, where we really are sort of an end-to-end provider of technology solutions. And basically, Meticulosity empowers organizations to unleash their potential on HubSpot, and break through barriers in sales and marketing, operations, technology. Today we work with some small and medium-sized businesses, but a lot of enterprise companies as well, and primarily those that operate on the HubSpot platform, and then e-commerce as well is one of our core verticals.
Awesome. And how long have you been a partner with HubSpot?
So we've been with HubSpot for quite a long time. We're probably getting close to 10 years.
Wow.
We've been there a long time. We like a lot of organizations, we just had piecemeal, sales and marketing processes. And so when we got into a period of expansion and growth, we needed to identify a tool that we could use to help us do marketing better, but also help us seamlessly take leads and bring them into our sales process. And so HubSpot is a very comprehensive tool that does that. So we actually became HubSpot users first and adopted HubSpot, and more importantly, the inbound marketing and sales methodologies that they sort of champion. And one thing led to another fairly quickly, and we entered the HubSpot Partner Program, went from an untiered partner to platinum within about 6 months.
Wow.
And have been working with HubSpot ever since. We were one of the first agencies that adopted growth-driven design, which is a process that looks at web development and web design in a totally different way. And so we've been able to pioneer some of those kinds of initiatives with HubSpot, and it's been a great journey. Talking about HubSpot, I'm not just passionate about it because I'm a partner of theirs. I'm passionate about it because the way that they empower you to take control and automate and manage processes is really awesome. And so HubSpot and the inbound ways worked for us before we ever took them to our clients. And so, we're really bought in, and it's a really great partner program. It's actually the partner program that I use to measure all others. And, we've been in various, big name Microsoft or whatever types of partner programs. And HubSpot's a great program. They really invest heavily in their partners to teach us how to best use the platform and how to best, utilize the power there.
That's amazing, and I love that you started like that old saying. I'm also a client, and you started there, so you got to see how that helps. The one thing I like a lot about HubSpot is their philosophies, and you had mentioned it, the inbound marketing and everything, and I think businesses tend to do that without realizing it, but what HubSpot does is it really helps them to kind of, for lack of better phrasing, laser focus on that and look at what is working, get rid of what's not working, and then provide a system that that can help with that through the marketing and then getting your leads in and managing them until you close them. And I was wondering, so kind of a little bit of a segue, what are the advantages of HubSpot marketing and CRM for businesses?
Really, inbound marketing isn't much different than potentially it has the components of what people have already been doing for years, right? It's SEO, it's organic, it's content, it's PPC, it's social media. The big difference is, again, not so much with HubSpot, the tool, but with, inbound marketing, the methodology, where you take all of these distinct sort of activities and you pull them together into a cohesive way, which HubSpot helps you do. But in that, if you've got you've got a social person on your staff, and then you've got a PPC guy, and you've got a SEO person, and these people, if they're all working in their own independent silos, you have people going in different directions. Inbound marketing is all about, really establishing a common goal with all those activities and aligning all of your vectors, from the mathematical standpoint of, the impact that you can make with those will be much greater when they're all working towards the same goal. So, that's really the big advantage to, inbound marketing and that sort of philosophy. And then you have HubSpot as a tool to do it and do it really effectively. And because it's this, all in one or end to end, or I like to say the one platform to rule them all, if I want to get nerdy here, it's that because it's all in one place, you have a ton of efficiency, but also because it's all in one place, you can automate things from the very beginning to the very end of a life cycle and, do more work with less effort. The biggest wins that I see are how when you use it properly, it can stop you and your team from dropping balls. I mean, that when someone fills out a form, you've got to do a follow-up email right away, but then again in 4 days. And then, well, what happens if they didn't act on whatever the offer was? You've got to you have to nurture people to get them from, an unknown visitor to a customer. And if you have to do all of that manually in your head or with a spreadsheet, it's no fun, but also there's a lot of margin for, room for error there. With HubSpot, when you set it up properly and use it properly, it does so much of the work for you. So and the automation is just one of the core components that lives in every piece of the tool, so that, again, you can do more with less.
Excellent. This is actually a kind of a perfect segue to another question is, so when you bring on a new client, never used HubSpot before, and you're working with them, you and your team are working with them on their onboarding, what features do you see them most excited about?
Well, again, I've to hit back on a previous point. I mean, I've worked with $5 million companies, $15 million companies that are managing their sales teams out of a spreadsheet. So, when you think about that, just anything is better than what they're doing, of course. But I think one of the most exciting things that you see on the surface, is when you use the marketing hub specifically and the CMS hub to host your website, you create this closed loop of reporting and analytics insight, where if you don't use HubSpot, you can see from Google Analytics or your AdWords account, whatever, that, I paid money, somebody clicked on something, but then what happens from there? Well, I know I got a click. That's great data, but with HubSpot is we know that they clicked something, but then we know what pages they looked at afterwards. We know when they eventually came to a form and filled it out, and and then we can follow them through the rest of their journey through the sales process to become a customer. And so you can see that a $7.64 click on Google AdWords led to $100,000 contract and who it was with and the path that they took to get there, and learn so much about their journey, that, you get the attribution of knowing where every penny you spend, and what the ROI is there. But then you can learn from those insights how to do that more often, so that, again, all things equal, you're converting more of your visitors. So to me, the one of the most exciting components is that sort of closed loop nature. Again, the more you do in HubSpot, the more pieces it knows about and can report on. And so that's definitely one of the big selling points. The other one we also kind of hit on, is that automation. Being able to take somebody in who fills out a form and send them a kickback instantly, thanking them for doing that, and that someone will be in touch with them, and then including a calendar booking link in that email if they want to jump the gun and just go right for the chase and get on a call with you, to follow-ups that are going to the customer weeks later, to reminders to internal team members. Hey, this person filled out a form and nobody's contacted them yet, you better do that. The other thing that's neat about that automation is the triggers and things that you can have within there, where let's say we've got someone who filled out a form on the website 3 months ago. We've got a cookie on them. HubSpot is the same Kool-Aid that Amazon had 10 years ago when no one else had it. And so when that person comes back 3 months later and goes and looks at a web page, I can get a notification as a salesperson that you thought this lead was a dead lead. You thought it went cold. But hey, they're back on your website right now looking at a page.
Yeah.
That type of intelligence allows your salespeople to pick up the phone 2 hours later and hey, Bob, I just wanted to reach back out. I saw you were on our website, and wanted to see if you had any questions. So it allows you to really engage your prospects and meet them where they are in their buyer's journey. And so, yeah, it's those, I call them surface stuff, but that's the sort of the obvious benefits to HubSpot. It gets really exciting once you really get under the hood and figure out what other processes and things that it can be a part of. When you ask, well, what do we do with somebody who's a brand new, never used HubSpot before? The conversations with those people have nothing to do with HubSpot. All you have to do is understand, well, what is the day in the life of a marketing person, the day in the life of a salesperson? What is the prospect look like from unknown to sales, deal closed? But even then, what happens when you close a deal? And, when asking all of those questions, you start to be able to match up the pieces of HubSpot that can automate, that can do better than you can, or that can do things you never knew were possible.
Absolutely incredible. And I guess on the other side of the coin, and you and I had talked in the past about some of this stuff, is what do you feel on the flip side are some features that are underutilized, and that are important though, and can really help sales, marketing, it's a service, et cetera. And what are the options that can be used to address this to help them out?
So yeah, and HubSpot has evolved so much in the 10 years that we've been working with them, to where it was really a sales and marketing tool, to them adding a CMS, and then them adding a service hub where we can, manage customer support tickets and internal tickets and sales proposals and all kinds of things. They've just continually added more and more features. Right now, they're actually they have a beta product of an AI-driven chatbot. Imagine just being able to plop this thing onto your website and have it know how to convert prospects into sales without you having to come up with logic trees and all the things that you have to do, using the old way. And with HubSpot, there is I like to say it's, there's a lot that you don't know, you don't know. And so again, where it can be beneficial to work with a HubSpot partner when you're a HubSpot user is that we know all those things you don't know, and we can help identify those things. But yeah, some of the really underutilized pieces are, with API integrations. HubSpot has an operations hub where you can actually, have full access to their entire API and every functionality within all the different hubs. And you can, take data points and do math on them, and, calculations and probabilities. And then from there, act on that both within HubSpot, but also in other systems. And so, one of the big blockers to HubSpot is, especially in like enterprise, is a lot of times enterprise have some big ERP, some big, legacy thing for fulfillment or whatever that they have to have as part of their product or part of their organization. And, until the last year or two, those organizations might not be able to use HubSpot to its full extent. And now, because of the adoption of open APIs across the entire software as a service industry, you're able to unblock those things and really utilize the full power. So yeah,
absolutely. And that's where a product like Commercient SYNC, where we can integrate that data from the ERP, from a QuickBooks, a Sage 100, et cetera, into HubSpot, so they can look and see current stock levels, what a customer ordered in the past, status of an order, et cetera. Kind of going back a little bit to Meticulosity, been navigating your site, and I love where it says that you are the agency. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. We kind of identify with that statement in a few different ways. First off, we were really born in the digital side. A lot of marketing agencies that are in our space, they've been marketing agencies maybe for 10, 20, 30 years, who knows? And, they lived in the days of the phone book, and phone book ads. And, they really had to pivot from old style or traditional marketing into digital. We've always been there. Our roots were in taking a layered Photoshop files from a brand like DKNY and building custom templates for their e-commerce system so that they could control their brand experience, but also do business online. We went from there, from the technical side into the marketing piece. And so it gives us a really, unique perspective that a lot of other agencies don't have. The other piece is really just in the way that we do business. We're very personable. We're very, relationship focused. Other agencies might, start billing you the second that they pick up the phone, like a lawyer, right?
Yeah.
Or they do work just to do work, or, going back a long time, but, 10, 12 years ago, where we'd have conversations with clients and they would say, well, I knew something was wrong because I told my web guy that I needed to change the phone number on the homepage, and they, took 6 hours to do it. When the reality that is that that's a 3-minute job, maybe 15 if it's not built in a certain way or whatever. But, the overcharging and the nickel and diming and all those things, that's again sort of against how we build relationships, to the point where we've got clients today that we had 14 years ago are still working with us today. And, the other agencies, they turn over every couple of years. And we know that because they come to us afterwards. So
yeah, absolutely. And kind of talking a little bit about, the overall economy, things are going to change up and down. What are some of the things that you see businesses coming in that they have like certain pain points. It could be outside forces such as the economy. What
Yep.
do you see usually common wise amongst companies that have them pick up that phone and look for help?
I mean, obviously the pandemic wasn't good for most businesses and most people, but and it's the elephant in the room, and I almost hate to refer to it, but
Yeah.
you know, there have been some positive outcomes from it for both businesses, but also consumers. That it really forced the hand of digital transformation, especially in retail and restaurants and things like that, where, um, you know, you didn't have to have online ordering or online pickup, again, whether it was a retailer or a restaurant. But if you wanted to survive through the pandemic, the only way to do so was to get on that, train and get on it quickly, in order to stay open. So really, we went from here to here in the last, 2 to 3 years, which probably would have taken 10 or 12 years without a pandemic. And so it's really accelerated that. And, the fact is, like you said, whether it's the economy or it's a pandemic, we're not going to go back, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to revert to the old ways. In fact, what it's doing is shown consumers that they can be met where they want to, and that if somebody is worthy of their business, they've got to sell to them or provide services to them in a way that that they want, right? So and again, like hybrid retail, being able to buy something online and return it in a store was already a big deal, 5, 6 years ago. Not everybody did that. Well, nowadays everybody does. And not only can you buy it in a store, you can and buy it online and have it shipped to you, but you can buy it online and go pick it up. You can buy it online and have a Postmates deliver it. The options for consumers have just really expanded. And of course, that's those things aren't easy to do, and so that's where the phone has been ringing for us. Is how do I integrate my restaurant chain with an online ordering platform, but also with my point of sales in house and those kinds of things. And so it's created complex technical requirements, which is the kind of requirements we love to solve. So
Awesome. And before I wrap up, I wanted to ask, what would be two or three of your tips for inbound marketing that businesses, if they're doing it, they need to kind of double down and really get excellent at it, or if they're not doing it, they should start doing it immediately?
number one, and it kind of speaks to how we began this actually, but is doing things in a cohesive, holistic approach. If you're doing all of the things, but you're not doing them all in alignment, you're leaving so much on the table. Your cost per customer acquisition is much higher than it could potentially be. Again, if you've got an SEO guy and a PPC guy, and they're or girl, and they're separate people, or they're separate agencies, or they're in their own silos, if you're already ranking first on organic for a search phrase, maybe you don't need to purchase, to spend money to get first place on an AdWords campaign. And so again, if they both have visibility into each other, you're going to see benefits of that. Or again, if you are promoting something on social media, it needs to have an offer incorporated to it, which is, again, if I end up engaging with that post, what am I going to do, and where am I going to go from there, and what's my call to action, and all those components that, again, if you just look at things in silos, you can't get the full reward. Another tip, I guess, and I don't mean to jump on the bandwagon, but it's using artificial intelligence, and because your competitors are doing it, or they will be, and or the big players absolutely are and have been. And that's, in different ways. We do AI driven, pay-per-click management. A human can only adjust, micro bids on ad campaigns so many times in a day or a week, but a machine can do it, thousands of times a day if need be. A machine can analyze in real time, whether or not a click is coming from a demographic that's someone who could even buy, and then shifting things to the right demographic and stuff. So using AI in advertising, but then of course in content generation. Again, SEO and content sort of became the same thing 3, 4, 5 years ago. And so the way to win at Google is to create engaging content, and you can create a lot more content a lot faster using AI tools. And again, if you're not doing it, your competitors will, and then they're going to take the market over before, and you'll be at such a deficit that you won't be able to recuperate. And so that's staying in front of the different technologies that are out there and making sure that you're leveraging them would definitely be one of my top suggestions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dave. And how can our viewers and listeners find out more about you and Meticulosity?
Sure. Well, you can definitely go to our website at meticulosity.com. You can email me at dward, D-W-A-R-D, at meticulosity.com. But again, in order to meet our customers where they want to be, we've got a website chat tool, we've got Facebook messaging, all of the things. So if you want to reach out, it should be, I hope, easy to find us.
Awesome. And I'm thinking these are the things that these future customers should also be putting in place too. So awesome.
Absolutely.
I really enjoyed this conversation, Dave. Thank you so much. Have a great one.
You too.